I like it. I like this little setup in your room you got there.
Thanks,
What's
man.
that behind you? Is it the Beatles?
Huh?
Is it the
Oh, yeah.
Beatles? Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
But,
Bringing some culture to the podcast. I like it.
we do what we can.
I'm Jansen.
I'm Sky.
And this is the weekly pop-up podcast where we discuss all things pop culture. And this week, you only heard two of us because Sean is busy covering the election. He's doing more important things right now, but we are not talking about the election here because this is a stress-free zone. But we are joined by a third person. That is my good friend, Jordan. How are you, sir?
What's going on? How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you here. Now, I said we weren't going to talk election, but our subject today talks a little bit about the election or, foreshadowing of the election. Plus, Jordan, you're up in D.C. You are actually covering the election for news outlets up there. How's it been for you the past, day and a half, 24, 36 hours?
Oh man, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of just media attention, and I think sort of frustration and anxiety all compiled into I think exhaustion. And yeah, you can sort of see that in at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But when I say you're in DC, I mean you were at the White House last night, correct?
Oh yeah, I was at the White House last night. I was outside on the North Lawn when the president decided to go out and speak in the East Room. So I was there from 6:30 in the morning yesterday until about 2:30 in the morning today.
Look at this man, and he's with us on a podcast, guy. Look at that dedication.
Now, Jordan, are you a reporter?
I am not. I'm a videographer.
Got it.
Camera.
Okay. Yeah. No, I did that. That's what I did. Yeah, I was a photojournalist with Jansen.
We get to sit behind and let the other people.
Yeah.
Their way.
Yeah. Not as much pressure for us, which I really enjoyed.
Front row to everything.
Yeah.
That's right. And so today we are actually discussing the new Borat film, Borat 2 Subsequent Moviefilm. Wow, you are. And now we've all seen it. Sean had done his homework. He had seen it. Again, we miss him. I just can't stop talking about him. I miss that redheaded guy. But we decided to have Jordan on because Jordan has an interesting connection with the movie, or at least some promotion for the movie. And so first we're going to play a quick clip from Twitter that Borat put out as part of promotion for the movie. And I'm going to try and share my screen correctly this time. Sky, am I able to share my screen?
Should be able to.
Let's see. Just a second.
You gotta have those host privileges, don't you?
Host privileges. I want to be special.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, and then this time I'm going to click share. I'm going to click the little thing at the bottom that says share computer sound.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me if this goes right or wrong, Sky, okay?
You're Zoom Pro. I got you. You got this.
All right, here we go.
It's like I'm right there on your screen.
But the sound, that's the key here. Here we go.
OAN is most rigorous news source in America.
OAN.
Yes, sir. Major left-wing news media are consistently siding with Latin gangs and cartels.
We found multiple crimes in Ukraine the Bidens have committed.
Do you consider the term Chinese food racist?
I know this because they take my daughter into the White House. No need for security checks or COVID tests. They boring.
You take care of yourselves. Thank you very much.
I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm really excited to meet you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Why is all of the fake journalists for the left and none on the right?
Please make watching Borat Subsequent Moviefilms for more penetrations of Trump regime.
So that is, hang on, it's still playing on mine. It always happens. It keeps playing in my headphones. So that is a promotional clip for those who aren't watching on YouTube. Essentially what happens is it takes you through what Borat's daughter went through, and what I'm assuming is, she was trying to be a reporter in America. She hooked up with OAN, a right-wing news organization, for a day in the life, and essentially got into the White House without any COVID tests. Went to an event with the president, met his son, and asked one of the reporters. She was asking a reporter from OAN that question at the end. And Jordan used to work for OAN, correct? In
That is correct. I did. In fact, the reporter featured there, Chanel Rion, I helped train her on her first day.
So that we thought it was a good connection. One, Jordan loves movies like we do, but when we heard that tie-in, you got to bring him on. And so, do you know a little bit more? I don't know if you were still there at the time. I don't know when this was filmed or how long ago. Do you know if were you still there when that woman, the actress, came through at all?
I remember being introduced to that actress. I remember being told her name, but I don't remember if it was Tutar, which is the character in the movie, or a made-up name that they had used to get in. I know that they did not use the actress's real name.
Yeah.
Or in order to get in, they completely duped not only One American News, they duped the Secret Service, they duped the White House, and was able to convince the organization that they were there to shoot a Netflix documentary featuring their lovely White House correspondent. And yeah.
That's what I was wondering. I wasn't sure, because that's always my biggest question with this movie as I watched the whole time, was like, what did he say or what did she say to make this situation happen? So you said that they had told OAN and probably everyone else involved, hey, we're just working on a Netflix documentary.
Yep, they told OAN that they were working on a Netflix documentary, and I believe them. They had a crew of 3 people. They had 2 camera guys and a sound guy, and they kept walking back and forth behind my shot. I mean, when you're there on Pebble Beach, all the reporters are sort of lined up with the angle facing the White House, and you see people walking in the background all along, and it was just really weird. They kept going back and forth to do this walk and talk take, walking towards the West Wing from the North Lawn gates, and I was like, what are these people? What is Chanel telling them? And just for a little bit of backstory, I'll try not to take too long, but when the COVID-19 happened and social distancing has sort of taken over our lives, the White House Correspondents Association really pulled back the number of people out in the briefing room at a given time. And so that's why whenever you see a briefing in there right now, they're all sort of spaced out. They're not crammed in there like sardines like they used to be. But Chanel was, I guess you'd say, banned from the White House Correspondents Association for refusing to comply with the COVID-19 restrictions. So she would basically show up on days that she was not in rotation. Now, that's a good way to get kicked off of the White House Correspondents Association, but I guess if that happens, the next logical step would be to start your own White House National Correspondents Association. So she's been working on a little independent effort to get that sort of counter organization up and running. And she's been inviting, I guess you'd say, lower tier, independent, mostly conservative-minded, Epic Times type journalists. She's been inviting them in there to stand in the back with her in the little taped-off guest section of the briefing room and ask questions that are generally more favorable to the administration. So I just assumed that this foreign reporter that she introduced me to was another one that she was trying to rope into the White House National Correspondents Association.
Well, and it makes sense, I think, that's what they went with, because I didn't really know her name before, but especially in the recent months, OAN has really started to rise, at least to some mainstream level. I remember a year or two ago, someone told me, do you know about OAN? When I was still in the news, and I was like, I don't know much about it. But now, obviously, it's gotten a lot more relevancy. So the fact that someone would want to do a possible documentary or short on one of their, rising stars, at least is plausible. So I mean, I probably would have been duped as well. Don't feel bad about that.
It's plausible, but I also think it's, and I know this from doing my own research about the filmmaking and what went into Borat and how they sort of get these, I guess, unwitting actors, like the actress that plays the babysitter.
Yes.
Was like paid on 2 separate occasions, like a couple $100 for the first scene, and then I think upwards of like $3,000 for the second scene that she's featured in with Borat when he asked her to be his new black wife. So
and she rejects him, sadly.
She does reject him. Unfortunately, it's not the happy ending we all hope for. But there is some indication that there was also a payment involved with the heads of One American News in order for them to sort of give access to this Netflix documentary and have them shadow Chanel around the White House. So
a little quid pro quo, you might say.
Something along that lines. But yeah, I don't know how much it was, but
hilarious though. So
something along those lines. So they can't really I don't know. I believe they've tried to sue Borat now, and I don't really know how far that will go.
How does it feel to meet at least an accomplice of Borat?
I wish I would have taken more time to introduce myself or ask a few questions. I was really busy when I met them. I was sort of just running back and forth from the lawn to the briefing room, like trying to edit something quickly and get back out there for a live shot. So.
Oh yeah, when someone brings someone in the newsroom, it's like, okay, nice to meet you. I'll see you later.
What? Oh, cool. See ya.
So let's get into the movie. Sky, what did you think about the movie?
I loved it. I watched it probably about 8:00 on a Sunday morning, and it came out on a Friday, right? So I guess it would have been a Saturday. But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was, the first one was very uncomfortable, right? Like it's very much like shock humor. With this one, it has a little bit of shock humor, especially with some of the scenes. But this one was like sweeter, like it told a good story, with the father and his daughter, and the humor was still there. It was still cringy at times, which I really, I love, and if that was their goal for the humor, then I think they succeeded. But I thought, it's definitely more politically motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a fan of political humor, I think that this movie will land for you. And if you're not really into political humor, then obviously if you didn't like, you probably wouldn't have liked the first one. So probably just keep staying away from Borat for a little while.
So for those that don't know, Sky, can you give us a quick rundown of a general plot? I know it's a little convoluted. It involves a monkey and a daughter and a dad.
I forgot about the monkey, but yeah. So, I mean, it's, Borat and Kazakhstan. Oh, go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead.
I was just the monkey is like the minister of the arts in Kazakhstan.
He's some like superstar. He's like their greatest God's gift. And so he's
their dear leader into the strongman club.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, he, Borat, he is assigned by a general to go to America and bring this monkey as a gift for Mike Pence
to restore Kazakhstan's standing in the world.
Yeah,
because Donald Trump has become friends with all these dictators, but not theirs.
Right. So he goes to leave, and he ends up finding out that his estranged daughter who he doesn't really care for. He keeps her outside in like a fenced-in area. But
With the rest
what was that, Jordan?
with the rest of the livestock.
Yeah. With the and so she convinces him somehow to let her go with him to America, and they go to America, and something happens with the monkey. And then Borat has the idea of, what if I present my daughter as a gift to Mike Pence? So it's about grooming, the daughter, who is, what was her name? Tutar. And it's about grooming her and getting her ready for, pretty much just being a gift to Mike Pence, like giving her to him.
And so throughout the movie, they go through all these situations for that grooming. They go to a debutante ball. They go to meet an Instagram influencer to see how to become like a real woman.
She eats cupcakes for the first time.
She eats cupcakes. She does. They go to, like you said, they have a babysitter because Borat has to do some other things. She's supposedly 15 in the movie.
It's an adventure movie, right?
It is.
It's a very
it's a coming of age adventure movie.
Yeah. It's like the Goonies, right?
Exactly the same.
But no, I thought it was wonderful though. I really enjoyed it. Jansen, what did you think? And then Jordan, I want to know what you thought as well.
I mean, I thought they really nailed it. Going for the political kind of satire. And it's not just political satire. When we say political, there are a lot of quote unquote politic bits in there, but it's really just satire about like America in general. And I think like how we treat our people, how we treat our women, and how we look at things. I mean, as I said, they go to a debutante ball. They talk to an Instagram influencer. These are things that are just coming from, Kazakhstan, which is, this depleted nation where women are outside sleeping in cages. It just seems so ludicrous. So it's really a look back on America itself and the ways that we hold things on a pedestal that really are quite ridiculous when you really think about it. And it also just shows kind of the ludicrous state that our country is in. The fact that, it starts off with a man, the leader of that country, just wants to be recognized by Donald Trump because he's becoming friends with every other dictator. He just wants to be friends with him as well, and he feels slighted by that. So without that beginning premise, you wouldn't have any of it. But I thought it was really good. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars because I thought it was hilarious the whole time. There's only a couple scenes that I think are actually uncomfortable. And the reason I keep referencing the debutante ball is because that was one of them. Not at first, but, we get to the end of the ball and it's just, for me, I was just like, okay, this is a little much, but
is there.
Yeah, overall, and that's one. I'm like Jordan. Afterward, I immediately went to Google and was like, how did we get in all these scenarios and all these situations? Where are these people actors? Which most of them are not actors. Some of them did get paid for their participation, but they are not actors who were told much of anything.
They were lied to for their participation, but
they're lied to, as Sean put it in a text we were having. He said Sacha Baron Cohen makes you sign a video release and then does whatever he wants. He gets that release and he's good to go.
Yep.
So, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a quick hour and a half, so perfect time to put a movie like that. I don't think you'd want something like that for 2.5 hours, but really enjoyed it. And probably would watch again, but I don't know who I'd watch it with. Like, I'm not gonna watch that with my wife or anything. My wife, but Jordan.
I thought this movie was a breath of fresh air in a time where political satire can get very stale and overdone and reused. And it just sort of seems like the news is satire most days. And I think Sacha Baron Cohen, whatever he's doing, and I love the fact that he was able to incorporate Borat, his one of his most famous characters, I guess, into this, but he's just really good at duping Americans and sort of holding up a mirror and teasing us with our worst instincts.
Yeah.
And so I think it's excellently executed. I'm curious to know how long the production process was, how much of it changed when the pandemic hit, because it really seems like this sort of the whole movie came together within a year. I know there's a scene that happened at like CPAC this past year.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how one, I guess, storyboards a Sacha Baron Cohen film, because you just sort of have to know like what you're hoping to do and not necessarily what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that it had such a, pretty much, I mean, a cohesive story from start to finish, even with a twist at the end, the big twist at the end that happens. I'm sure that part storyboarded. I'm sure the beginning and the middle, but all the bits, I'd say 90% of the bits were for a reason to quote unquote move along the plot. And that honestly, you can kind of guess how people are going to react, but if they react a different way or you don't get the right reaction, that could definitely alter the way your story goes, or it could change the heart of it. I've seen online a lot of people love the babysitter because she is the moral compass of the story. But what if she wasn't? What if she wasn't there saying, when he says, when she's talking with her and she says, I have to get, breast surgery. What if she was like, go ahead. Yeah, that sounds great. Instead, she was very nurturing. It was like, you shouldn't do that if you don't want to, just because your dad does. That makes such a great movie moment. And who knows? Maybe they would have filmed with 3 other babysitters till they got that. I don't know. But those kind of alternate reactions can really sway the film one way or another.
Yeah, he does a good job in the worst of us, but also the best of us in key moments like that one that you just mentioned.
To be fair, too, I mean, he did show up with her having a dog bowl for water. Like she was pretty much put in a spot where unless she was the worst person on the planet, she's gonna be a good person.
And she had a ball and chain, a literal ball and chain.
Yeah. Okay, but I do want to go back to storyboarding. And I honestly, I don't think that he probably had storyboards. I think he had a beat sheet. I think he was like, like these are the interviews that we want. These are the situations that we want to create. And they probably had dozens. And they got what they could. But, in terms of, creating like a storyboard or anything like that, I think it would be impossible. But
and I feel like a lot of it is just sort of planning around stunts and building the narrative around the outcomes.
Right.
Like I know probably he did an interview with Colbert in the promotion for it, and they sort of showed it behind the scenes of all the protection that went into the Country Steve's scene.
Yeah.
When he's at state at like a March for Your Rights rally, doing an impersonation of Borat, doing an impersonation of I guess a country music rock star. And it's wild. I mean, he is clearly like, paid this secret security detail to help ensure that when things go south, he's got a way out. But you don't see all that in the movie. The narrative just sort of gets, what you can use from those scenes gets pulled out and used, and I guess it just sort of grows around that.
What I thought was also just so cool, and this could be because I'm decently invested in pop culture or current events, etc. But the CPAC thing, I remember a actual news story coming out about a Trump impersonator, in a fat suit, being escorted out of CPAC at the time, months ago or a year ago, whenever it was.
February.
And I remember that and didn't think another thing of it. because why would I? Okay, cool. And then to see it come to fruition in the film is just like it's like a little Easter egg just for you. You're like, wow, I remember this.
I remember when Sacha Baron Cohen was trending on Twitter. People were like, I think Borat was at CPAC.
Yeah, and so just seeing those moments come together, I thought was really fantastic. Just because that's free promotion. I mean, people just being like, Borat is out, and I love that he used his characters. And at the start of the movie, he's like, he knows I'm very famous over here now, so we need a second character because realistically, even with these disguises, people are going to figure it out. So let's add this second character of my daughter, which I thought was a smart move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was that same interview with Colbert, but he was talking about the audition process for his daughter, and what was it, like 200 actresses were brought in, and the whole process for casting this role was you had to convince strangers that that she was Borat's daughter, and she had to stay in character for like an X amount of time, and it was just I can't imagine that the work that went into these performances.
She was phenomenal because you're dealing with him the entire time. The hilarity that's ensuing, like you said, probably have a beat sheet of like, we're going in and we're going to talk about A, B, and C. But again, those reactions, and Sacha Baron Cohen, I'm sure, is just improving 95% of this. The fact that she doesn't break hardly ever in the movie is very impressive. The only time I remember seeing her break is when they're with the pastor. He said, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says something, and you see her just go, she just looks down and smiles because I mean, again, it's very impressive that she doesn't break, literally busting out laughing at times.
That was my favorite scene of the entire movie. That when they're talking to the preacher, I laughed so hard.
It's a great scene because it's the least duped anyone was. They were both telling the truth. Like, they were both telling their truth. He's just saying, there's a baby inside of her. And he's saying, yeah, but we don't have to go this. They both were, it was easier to quote unquote lie because neither of them were lying. There was a baby inside of her. He did put it there. So that's something that could go into a regular movie as just, I could see like John Candy back in the day having some kind of mixed up conversation and just getting it wrong.
Right, but the thing is too, is in any other situation, it wouldn't have been a real honest reaction. It would have been written, it would have been staged. Seeing this preacher's reaction, this genuine, authentic reaction, just made it so much better.
Poor fella, poor guy.
I want to know what he's doing now. I want to know, like, as I know about the babysitter. I know about the Jewish woman in the synagogue.
R.I.P.
It passed away.
Yeah. I want to know. I know about the influencer. I want to know about the preacher, and I haven't seen any articles yet about him.
Is he a preacher or is he just a women?
No, he is a preacher.
A preacher.
I think I saw one article that requested for comment, and he wasn't commenting. Yeah. Probably the best approach.
Honestly, if anyone's asking you about this,
just try to move past it.
That lesson, but
yeah. So Scott, you kind of started it, but I was going to ask. My next question was going to be, and you're able to change your answer or elaborate. But Sky, what was your favorite bit of the whole movie? And we can include Giuliani, of course, because that's a more dramatic bit, of course.
Honestly, the Giuliani bit everyone knows about. Right. So I feel pretty comfortable with talking about that scene because it's everywhere. Honestly, for me, that's the most horrifying scene of the whole movie. So it's a scene where I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. Don't like that scene. But for me, the hilarity was probably the scene that I mentioned, like them talking about getting the baby out and all that stuff. I think that was great. The Moonblood dance, her saying vagine, I think it's just hilarious. I think that's just great.
Oh, that
but
reminds me of the women's, the conservative women's one. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. I mean, just the whole thing, man. Like, I was thinking about it the other day, and we haven't really had a lot of movies come out this year because of COVID. And with this one and the amount of work that they did to do it, I think it deserves to be nominated for an Academy Award when we get there. And then, these performances, how dedicated they had to be in these roles. And Sacha Baron Cohen, when he was staying with the people out in, I guess, wherever, Texas,
I thought it was Oregon or Washington or something.
he's staying with these guys, and he stayed with them for 5 days in character for 5 days. Like, for me, give them both Academy Awards, or at least nominate them, right? So, I mean, for me, it's not just one scene; it's the whole thing. I thought it was just wonderful.
I agree with you, Sky, and I think in particular Maria Baklava, the actress that plays Tutard, should be nominated for something. I don't know if the Academy will, bite the bullet and give these comedic actors the recognition they deserve, but perhaps the Golden Globes maybe, or something along that line.
Yeah.
Which I forgot to mention, but Jordan has also met Rudy Giuliani recently. I mean, he is all over this. Are you sure you're not in the movie? Because I just feel like you got a lot of connections there.
I promise I'm not, as far as I can tell. My interview with Rudy Giuliani did not go as the one in the movie, and that is all I will say on that.
I like your discretion. I like your discretion. But I think my favorite scene was not Rudy Giuliani, because, as you said, everyone knew about it. I was interested to see how it came about, of course, and it was just as creepy as I imagined. A lot of just creepy old man vibes. I mean, I guess that's all I'll say about it. You'll have to watch for yourself. But my favorite scene was the one that Sky mentioned, where he stays with the two QAnon gentlemen. I wondered, and again, immediately went to Google, how long did he stay with them? How did this happen? He said it was the most challenging thing he's pretty much ever done, because, as you said, Sky, in character, woke up, went to bed, whole day as, this character, which is very challenging to do, especially when you're such an eccentric character.
He was producing that night. Like, at night, he would, like, get on his laptop. And he'd be in his bedroom, and he'd be, like, producing and getting ready for the next shoot. And then, like, he'd hear a knock on the door, and he'd have to, like, 1 minute, and, like, that's insane.
But it's not like he's just a normal person who his character is just someone with a British accent. No, as you see in the film, he's doing jump rope with, like, nothing on, and all these other crazy things, writing these songs, asking these what sound like ludicrous questions, but are getting real answers from these guys. They truly believe these things, which, again, is part of the great satire.
I think he does a really good job of humanizing these people who were hospitable to him for 5 days, and highlighting the fact that they've been fed a bunch of lies that now they truly believe, but not failing to show that these are decent people who would bring in a stranger off the street.
It's true, in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to me that if it did happen the way that it was filmed, where he's just walking down the street and he runs into the guy and he's like, "Hey, there's nobody out here. Can I stay with you?" I don't know if that's how it happened or if that was filmed, but that's, if he really was like, "Yeah, man, come on," I would not have done it.
Yeah.
I would not have been like, "Yes, strange man in the middle of the street, come live with me for Lord knows how long." This ended up being 5 days in the middle of a pandemic that at the time it just started. I mean, we were really, it either just started or, was earlier on, obviously. So that was my favorite part, because it also ended in the song that they all helped write together, which was super sweet.
Yeah.
Not the song, but the songwriting process. The song was very not sweet.
I
in my head the other day.
Yeah.
Don't sing that out loud.
I was like, why am I singing this?
I do want to talk too. A couple other scenes that really stuck out to me was, when Tutar first shows up and he has to open up the crate and he gets a stranger to help him open it, and then he's like, Tutar springs out and he's like, oh, we got to send you back, and he has someone help him seal the crate back. Absolutely wild.
I don't know if you've ever seen the Carbonaro effect on True TV, but it's pretty much that times a million, because Carbonaro things are harmless, but like things happen, people pop up, but he never is saying, hey, let's put them back in the box and ship them back across the world.
The dude was going to do it.
He was
my favorite. There's so many good one-liners and bits in this movie. It's really hard to pick a favorite, but I've watched it a couple times, and probably a few times actually. I always laugh the hardest when he's first in the costume store looking for a disguise in America. He's like, what's this, stupid foreign reporter? It's just Borat.
It's the simple stuff that really gets you.
Yeah. I am curious what these agreements looked like. I wonder how big they were, because
like too dense to read.
Yeah, exactly. And they know that the people that they're going to get, they may not read the stack of papers that they're going to get, because, honestly, if I received 100 stacks of paper, I probably wouldn't read it.
Even if you just stuff the middle pages with just typing, like not even the legal stuff, but just make it look bigger.
Because
they're going to sign it.
Yeah, they're going to put legal jargon in there too, right? Like stuff that is going to go over your head, stuff that just doesn't make sense, and you probably need a lawyer to look at it to help you with it, and they know that. So ethically, I don't think it's the perfect movie, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, there are many times in the movie where when you watch it, you think back, it's like, okay, he sort of set them up to do the worst possible thing, but they still take the bait in the end, and I think that's what.
You can't hide from yourself.
No, you can't.
So I was curious, and one of you guys might be able to help me. But when he goes to deliver Tutar to Pence, and he's dressed up, as Trump essentially. How is that footage able to be used? I mean, I guess, and make a profit. I feel like that kind of eluded me a little bit.
Well, it seemed like there was. No, I'm going off the fact that I saw a 3-person with them when they snuck into the White House. But it seemed like they had, a couple cameras on the ground at CPAC, filming the stage from where the crowd was, where the attendees were sitting, and definitely planted to get the best vantage point for the stunt. But I'm not sure how much, if any of the footage that they used was like directly CPACs, or they had to get funding for it. I think
the usage is probably similar to the tricking thing of, they say, you get 2 of your cameras in there, say we're a news outlet. Okay, cool. The footage is essentially yours. It's a public event. I'm sure there is a secured guest list, but
if you have that badge around, you can walk around with a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then the airing of the footage, they might contest it, but I'm sure many people contested their footage being in it, and I'm sure he says, you can sue me if you want, but we're running this movie.
And that brings up my next question. How many lawsuits do you think that this movie currently has against it?
At least 8.
I know it has at least one.
At least several. Because
one that I know of.
You have news organizations involved. You have political campaigns involved. You have the most litigious political campaign pretty much ever. I mean, Rudy Giuliani sues everybody he can for Trump or for himself. You have a preacher who I know can't be happy. He might not have the money to sue, but I know he cannot be happy. I believe the family of the Jewish woman, even though they said she was actually treated the best I believe
And she was
it's
aware too, right? Like,
she was. Apparently, she was.
He was let in on the bid because he made certain to her that she knew that he wanted to use that scene to let people know about the Holocaust.
Yeah. But I heard that her family originally was not very excited about it, so I don't know if they sued. But there are several people in there that could sue. Apparently, the ball dance that came about because they did pay the people like $100 to be there a piece, but they told them it was for something else. Kind of similar to many of the other situations, but they said you'll be in a movie essentially, and this is a scene about what is it called? It's not a cotillion, but I said it earlier. But about
Debutante ball.
Debutante ball. That's right. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you. You'll be in a scene about a debutante ball. Of course, I'm sure they did not imagine to see what they saw. And so those reactions, once again, are real. Are any of them suing? I don't know. But there've got to be several.
But I'll tell you what, though. I don't know much about debutante balls. But for me, the entire sequence, that entire scene was unsettling for me. Not just, the things happening with Tutar, like just the idea of the dance and the partnership. That was just it was just awkward.
It's the setting of your next horror movie, buddy.
Yeah, it's true.
Just saying.
But I think too, I want to, because we did talk about how ethically murky this movie could be, right? Like, but also the babysitter. I read recently that Sacha Baron Cohen donated $100,000 to her, but she wanted it to go to a church organization. Is that right, Jordan? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
She wanted it going somewhere else, so she didn't actually take the money for herself.
Okay.
But he did allocate it to whatever organization she wanted. So
that's pretty awesome.
Because I know that she had a GoFundMe set up too, where people were trying to get her like a 50,000, and she got it. So, yeah.
Not all bad. And also, I guess you look at the ethics of, yes, I'm tricking these people, but you could also look at it as maybe he feels it's his moral obligation to open some people's eyes to what's going on.
He had an agenda, right? And that's why certain people will like this movie and certain people will not like this movie. This is a movie for certain demographics and not for others. But I think, like you were saying earlier, Jansen, this movie does a great job at satirizing, our current events, on it really is kind of, leaning towards one way, but it is satire. At the end of the day, it's satire. And if you can separate satire from reality, then you probably have a good time.
Well, and I've told, with it leaning one way, I've told my wife that really, since I've been paying attention to satirical political comedy, like really paying attention, being an adult, not in college and not watching, but watching the late shows or keeping up with, the Daily Show, essentially, it's only been when Trump's been in office. So, of course, all the gags are at the person in power, which is why, honestly, I'd like to see it flip just to see what it's like, just to see, do they go that hard at the Democrats as well, or are they just going to keep going after Republicans once they're not in power? I'm genuinely interested to see if that happens, what happens, because we can say, is it because they're Republicans? Is it because they're in power? Is it because they're easy to go after? I want to see. I just feel like Joe Biden will have a lot of funny stuff to say that you'll see on the late night talk shows.
I feel like Joe Biden, under a Joe Biden administration, satire will continue to be alive and well in America.
Yeah.
I don't think the jokes will write themselves quite as much as they do in this day and age, but comedians find a way to do their jobs.
I'm just gonna miss the Jordan Klepper rallies.
Oh, Klepper, love Klepper.
My wife does not like politics at all, but I show her every one of those because I'm like, even if you don't like it, the irony, the satire is just too good to pass up.
Did you watch his show? clever.
I don't watch his entire show. All those clips I send you.
Oh no, he actually has like a show, like a 30-minute show that he goes around and he tells stories. And
Is it? It's not the same show that was like trying to like spoof Alex Jones. Is it a different show or is it that?
No, that wasn't it. This is another show. It's just called Klepper, and he had like 6 episodes. And the first episode, I remember it was war vets, and it was pretty much tackling how they don't receive a lot of care here. So the way that they deal with their pain and they deal with their trauma is through wrestling. So that's the whole episode, and it's great. He deals with DACA. He deals with so much, and he ends up getting arrested in one episode. So he really is committed to his storytelling.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's it on?
It was on Comedy Central, but now I think it's all on YouTube, so you can check it out for free.
We'll have to.
Okay.
But okay, so real fast, because I know we're going to wrap up. Is there a Borat 3? You know, it took 16 years, 14 years, for this to come out. Is there a Borat 3?
Oof.
I don't know, but
It's the biggest movie on Prime. I think it had the biggest release. I think it had the best release on Prime.
I'm of the very strong belief that there will be plenty of material to make a Borat 3 if he chooses to, because I think we parody ourselves every day. So I don't know if he will, but he'll have an opportunity.
Yeah.
We won't be able to expect one anytime soon. But hopefully we don't have to wait 14 years for the next one.
I think that's why it's so funny, and because it is so unexpected. Out of the blue, other than the CPAC thing, here's a Borat movie. And
there was always sort of like the rumbling that he was doing something, but it was never like directly linked to Borat. It was like Sacha Baron Cohen was a CPAC. Like, what? And then, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'll have to be. I mean, this one was clearly politically motivated. I think that's what he's going to keep doing if he chooses to do it again. So I think it really just depends on where our elections go.
But in the meantime, he's also been in many dramas and more.
Yeah, the new Aaron Sorkin film.
Really good.
He is a terrific character actor, right?
Yeah.
Does it all.
I remember first seeing him in Talladega Nights, I think, or Ali G. Ali G was probably the first thing I saw, and then
Talladega Nights.
And
just say I like thinly sliced pancakes.
Yeah, Borat and Bruno. I remember seeing Bruno in theaters, and
had to turn off.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
I couldn't finish, and that will always be the asterisk on his catalog.
Yeah. I saw it in theaters, so there's a scene, and he's naked and he's just genitalia swinging everywhere on the screen.
That's a big screen.
It's a big screen. So I was like, I came close to walking out because it was just so uncomfortable, and if you haven't seen it, there's that scene, and it's just weird.
If you haven't seen it, don't.
That's it. There you go.
Well, Jordan, I just want to say thank you so much again for coming on. I did want to ask you, you are an actor yourself. You're a thespian on the stage. With COVID-19, any productions right now, or how's that looking?
There is hope for a production that I think is slated for May of next year. However, we're not necessarily sure how feasible that will be. There's only so many virtual rehearsals you can do.
That makes sense.
I guess it really depends on the state of the nation.
I also want to know, before we go to, and this is something I kind of want to do for all of our future guests, is
starting something new, Jordan.
You movies. You enjoy acting. What is the movie that got you interested in movies, or made you aware of like how impactful they were onto you?
Ooh.
And do you have a favorite
or play? Maybe a play, because he does play too. Do you have a favorite actor or actress? Is there
people or things that just stick out to you?
Man.
Put
Yep.
him on the spot.
On the spot.
I couldn't answer it right now. Like if you asked me.
I remember back when like McDonald's would give movies in the Happy Meals.
Yeah.
It's like 20-minute, like, Hamburglar and Grimace the Menace episodes or whatever. I like remembered and like recited an entire 20-minute McDonald's Happy Meal DVD. And I think that was when I was like, oh, that was fun. Like, I don't know why I memorized this whole 20-minute DVD at like age 7 or 8 or whatever, but I couldn't tell you what the movie was about, but I do remember specifically being interested in the storytelling of that for some reason. Favorite actor? I don't know. I really like anything with Tom Hardy today.
I know. I was guessing either Hardy or Bale was going to be your pick. I don't know if you like Bale, but those are just my 2 picks.
I love Bale too, but anything with Hardy, I mean, Capone has like 1 star on Amazon, but I still want to watch it.
Yeah.
And then Tom Hanks.
Oh, God, Tom Hanks is so good. I first noticed Hardy in Inception. Like that was where I was like, he stole the show for me. His character was just so suave and cool, and I remember being like, oh, Daniel Craig retires. I want him to be Bond.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think great choices. And it's funny, that you mentioned the 20-minute short that came out of a Happy Meal. Sometimes it's the weirdest things that just kind of stick with you, that makes you aware of a film and that whole process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Sky asks the tough questions on this podcast.
I don't think it was a memorable piece of cinema by any means, but for some reason it stuck with me personally.
Right.
Can't recite it. Sorry.
That's
Oh
okay.
man, we were gonna extend it for you. We were gonna say we'll go past the hour. So since there are no plays, any other plugs you want to get in, man? You took all this time to be with us. Is there anything?
Yeah, we got a shout out to our homegirl Christina Edney, Radio Gate Redemption here.
Radio Gate Redemption. There you go. I appreciate. That's right. Jordan had a radio situation years ago. This is his chance to redeem himself, and I think he did so well. Don't you, Sky?
Yeah, he was great.
Perfect.
You have to come back on.
Absolutely, we will definitely have Jordan back on.
Me on, letting me chat with you guys about the movie and state of everything right now.
I hope it's been fun, man.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Well, I think that about wraps us up. Of course, we would love for you to hit that subscribe button if you're listening to us on a podcast. That lets you just download us easy peasy. You don't have to click anything. It just goes right to your phone. Of course, download us, rate us on your podcast apps. We also have a YouTube channel where this will be. You'll get to see Jordan's lovely face very shortly, hopefully. Oh, I like that wink. There it was. I saw it. We have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook. Just search Weekly Pop-Up. And, of course, we will be back next week with another great episode. I think next week, Sky, Mandalorian time.
Uh-oh.
With another special guest, also from Virginia, Jordan. You know him as well.
Timothy Oliphant?
I think it is.
Think of the biggest Star Wars fan you know.
Is it Fletcher?
It is Fletcher. Yeah. His YouTube channel's got like 15,000 subscribers now.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
We're gonna get him on. He's gonna teach us how to do it. It's all gonna be great. Okay.
Well, I'll just stay tuned.
So when we put yours on, it'll have like 30 views. But then after Fletch comes on and tells us how to do it, you'll check back in 2 weeks, thousands, bro.
Well, that's good.
That's right. So Jordan, tell your friends. We want some DC listeners. We got the Washington area. On the West Coast, they love us. I don't know if they've been back, but we had 5 downloads from one little town in Washington one time. I want to see it from DC. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will be back next week. Thank you so much.